Storytime by Anna. On the edge of a quiet little village, where the stars shone brighter than anywhere else, lay a mysterious forest. It wasn't a dark or scary place, no. This forest glowed. The trees had leaves that shimmered silver under the moonlight, and a soft hum floated through the air, like a lullaby sung by the wind. Every night, the villagers would hear gentle whispers coming from the trees, like secrets being told between old friends. No one knew where the whispers came from, but they all agreed on one thing: only the purest of hearts could hear their true message. One evening, a young boy named Leo, with eyes full of wonder, sat by his window, listening. Unlike the others, he wasn't afraid. He was curious. What if the forest is calling someone? He thought. What if it's calling me? Determined to find out, Leo wrapped himself in his softest blanket, tiptoed past his sleeping cat, and stepped outside. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of fresh rain and wildflowers. As he reached the first tree, a tiny, glowing leaf drifted down and landed in his palm. The moment he touched it, the whispers became clear words. "Welcome, dreamer. We've been waiting for you." Leo's heart raced with excitement. The whispers had never spoken to anyone before. Why him? He held the glowing leaf tightly and took another step forward. The moment his foot touched the soft moss, the forest came to life. Tiny lights, like golden fireflies, rose from the ground, swirling around him. The trees stretched their branches as if waking from a deep slumber, and the whispering voices turned into a gentle melody. It wasn't frightening, it felt warm, like a bedtime story being told just for him. "Come closer, dreamer," the voices murmured. "Follow the path of light." Leo looked ahead and gasped. A shimmering trail, glowing faintly silver, had appeared beneath his feet. It wound deeper into the forest, disappearing between the tall, whispering trees. He took a deep breath. Should he follow it? A cool breeze tickled his cheek, and in the wind, he thought he heard something else: laughter. Not just any laughter, but the kind that reminded him of home, of warmth, of safety. His feet moved before his mind could decide, carrying him forward. The deeper he went, the more magical the forest became. The trees whispered his name now, soft and kind, like old friends greeting him. Strange and wonderful flowers bloomed as he passed, their petals opening like tiny hands waving hello. Above him, the sky shimmered with stars so close they looked like they might fall into his hands. Then, ahead of him, he saw it. A massive, ancient tree stood in the heart of the forest. Its bark glowed with silver patterns, twisting like stories written in the stars. Hanging from its branches were tiny glass orbs, each one filled with a swirling, golden mist. Leo reached out, and as his fingers brushed one of the orbs, a voice whispered in his ear, "You have found the tree of dreams. And now it is time for yours." The orb began to glow brighter, wrapping Leo in a warm, golden light. His eyelids grew heavy, his body light as air, as if he were floating, drifting, dreaming. As the golden light surrounded Leo, a wave of warmth spread through his body. His eyelids felt heavier, and for a moment, he wasn't sure if he was standing or floating. The world around him faded into a soft blur of silver and gold, and then silence. Then, a soft voice whispered in his ear, "Open your eyes, dreamer." Leo obeyed, and when he did, he found himself no longer in the forest. Instead, he was standing on a vast, endless sky. Beneath his feet, the clouds stretched like a soft, rolling ocean. Above him, the stars burned brighter than he had ever seen, twinkling like tiny lanterns in the deep blue. The air was filled with the scent of something sweet, like honey and fresh rain. Where am I? He wondered aloud. A laugh, light as the wind, echoed around him. You are inside your dream, Leo. He turned to see a figure floating nearby. It wasn't human, nor was it an animal. It was something in between, a being made of starlight. Its body shimmered like the night sky, and its eyes were two glowing moons. Who are you? Leo asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. We are the keepers of dreams, the being said gently. And you, young one, have been chosen to walk among us. Leo's heart pounded. Chosen? But why? He was just an ordinary boy, wasn't he? As if reading his thoughts, the star being smiled. Not all dreamers are the same, Leo. Some dream and forget, but you dream and listen. You hear the whispers of the forest, the songs of the stars. That is why you are here. Leo swallowed, unsure of what to say. He looked down at his hands only now. They were glowing too. A soft, silver light pulsed from his fingertips, matching the gentle hum in the air. Was this real? Or was he truly just dreaming? Come, the star being said, reaching out. Let me show you. Leo hesitated for only a moment before taking its hand. The instant he did, the sky around them exploded into color. They soared through the stars, faster than the wind, faster than anything Leo had ever known. He saw entire galaxies bloom like flowers, planets made of shimmering glass, rivers of silver light that twisted through the void like glowing veins. He saw cities floating among the clouds where beings of light and shadow walked in harmony. He saw dreams, millions of them. Each one was different, glowing inside tiny orbs, just like the ones hanging from the great tree in the forest. Some dreams were bright and full of laughter, others were quiet and peaceful. But every single one was precious, floating in the vast sky like tiny wishes waiting to come true. Leo felt his heart swell. This was where dreams were born. What does it mean? He asked breathlessly. The star being smiled. It means that every dream matters. Every whisper of hope, every flicker of imagination, every wish made before bed, they all become part of this great sky. Leo watched in wonder as a new orb appeared before him, small and glowing softly. It was his dream. He reached out, and as soon as his fingers touched it, he felt warmth, love, and a deep sense of belonging. This was home. A gentle wind stirred, and suddenly, Leo felt lighter. The stars around him began to blur, the sky fading into soft shadows. A sleepy weight pulled at his body, and before he knew it, he was back in his bed. The first rays of morning light filtered through his window. His cat was curled beside him, purring softly. For a moment, Leo wondered if it had all been just a dream. But when he looked at his hand, he saw a single, tiny, glowing leaf. And he smiled. Leo's fingers curled around the glowing leaf, his heart beating faster. The soft light it emitted felt warm and comforting, yet it also felt like a secret waiting to be uncovered. He stared at it for a moment, not sure whether to laugh or gasp. Could it be? Had it all truly happened? Was he still dreaming? He sat up in bed, looking around his room. Everything was exactly as it had been before, his books scattered across the floor, his window slightly open, the sun rising just beyond the hills. Yet the leaf in his hand. It was real. As the soft morning light poured into his room, the leaf flickered slightly, its glow pulsing with a rhythmic beat. Almost as if it was calling. What do you want me to do? Leo whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. To his surprise, the leaf vibrated, and a soft voice, gentle and familiar, spoke again. You're not finished yet, dreamer. Leo's breath caught in his throat. He looked around, but there was no one else in the room. What do you mean? He asked aloud, but the voice did not respond. The leaf pulsed once more, brighter this time. It wasn't like a normal leaf, it was alive, almost as if it was part of something much larger. Something ancient and full of secrets. Leo stood up, feeling the call grow stronger. His heart felt drawn to the woods again. He couldn't explain it, but it was as if the forest needed him, the dreamer, the one who could hear its whispers. Without a second thought, he wrapped the leaf carefully in his palm, grabbed his jacket, and quietly slipped out the door. The air outside was crisp, the sky pale blue, and the scent of earth and pine filled his lungs. His feet carried him, almost instinctively, toward the woods at the edge of the village. As he stepped closer to the forest, the wind picked up, as though the trees were welcoming him back. The leaves above him rustled with familiar whispers. The forest remembered him. He walked deeper into the woods, the path before him glowing faintly underfoot, just as it had in his dream. And then, suddenly, he saw it, a figure standing by the massive, ancient tree. It was the star being, but this time it was different. Its form wasn't made entirely of light. It was shimmering, yes, but it also looked more solid, more real. The star being turned, its glowing eyes meeting Leo's. It smiled warmly, and as it did, the forest around them seemed to sigh with relief. "You have returned," the star being said softly. "The time has come for you to fulfill your purpose." Leo felt his heart race. Purpose? What did that mean? He had only just begun to understand the meaning of the whispers, the dreams, and the leaf. "What is my purpose?" he asked, his voice small but filled with determination. The star being held out a hand. The glowing leaf in Leo's palm pulsed brightly once more, almost as if it was reaching toward the being. The air around them shimmered as the leaf floated out of Leo's hand, landing gently in the star being's grasp. "You are the keeper now," the star being said, its voice becoming more solemn. "The forest whispers to you, and you must listen. The dreams of the world, those of hope, wonder, and fear, are kept here in this forest. But there are others who seek to twist those dreams into nightmares. It is your task to protect them, to make sure that dreams remain pure and true." Leo blinked, trying to process what the star being was saying. He hadn't expected this. How could he protect dreams? How could he stand up to something that twisted them? But the star being's gaze softened. "You are the chosen dreamer, Leo. Your heart is strong, and you have the ability to listen, to feel, and to understand the dreams of others. You are called because the balance between light and dark is fragile. Without someone to guard the dreams, the nightmares will begin to consume the world." Leo's mind was racing, but one thing stood out: nightmares. The star being nodded, its form glowing brighter. "Yes, there are those who feed on fear and darkness. They wish to erase the beauty and hope of dreams. You will need to stop them." Leo swallowed hard. He had come to the forest seeking adventure, seeking meaning, but this was more than he had ever imagined. "How?" he asked, his voice trembling with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. The star being extended its hand, and as it did, a soft, glowing orb appeared in front of Leo. It pulsed with energy, bright like the stars and warm like the sun. With this, the being said, "You will have the power to protect the dreams. But remember, you must never let fear consume you. Trust in the light, trust in the dreams you protect, and you will always find your way." Leo took the orb in his hands. The moment he touched it, a surge of warmth and energy rushed through his body. His heart pounded in his chest, but it was no longer out of fear. It was excitement. It was purpose. The forest whispered all around him, and in the distance, he could hear the faint cry of a dream, one in need of protection. With newfound courage, Leo turned to the star being. I won't let the nightmares win. The star being smiled, its form now a brilliant beacon of light. I know you won't, Leo. The forest, the dreams, the world, all are counting on you. And with that, the dreamer began his journey, stepping into the unknown with the orb of light in his hand and the whispers of the forest guiding his way. Leo's footsteps were light as he walked through the dense forest, the orb in his hand pulsing like a heartbeat. Every rustling leaf, every flicker of light in the distance seemed to carry a message, a story, waiting to be uncovered. The forest was alive, watching him, guiding him as he stepped deeper into its heart. With each step, he felt the weight of the star being's words. The balance between light and dark is fragile. He couldn't help but wonder how many dreams were in danger, how many had already been corrupted by the nightmares that threatened the peace of the world. What do I need to do? He whispered to himself, clutching the orb tightly. It hummed with energy, almost as if it wanted him to know. Suddenly, the path ahead of him began to twist and shimmer, the trees growing taller and darker. The light from his orb flickered as shadows grew thick. He stopped in his tracks, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel it, the pull of something dark, something wrong. He wasn't alone. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was tall and thin, its form shifting like smoke, constantly changing shape. Its eyes glowed a deep red, and its smile stretched unnaturally wide. The air around it felt colder, as though all warmth and light were being sucked away. So, the little dreamer has come, it hissed, its voice a whisper that seemed to crawl under Leo's skin. Did you really think you could protect the dreams from me? Leo's breath caught in his throat. The creature before him was a nightmare, a being of pure darkness, born from the fear and doubt that clouded the dreams of the world. He had read about such things in stories, but never had he imagined meeting one in person. I don't fear you, Leo said, his voice trembling but steady. The orb in his hand pulsed brighter, and the warmth it radiated spread through his entire body. I will protect the dreams. I won't let you destroy them. The nightmare laughed, the sound echoing through the forest like 1,000 broken whispers. Protect the dreams, it repeated, almost as if it was mocking him. You're just a child, Leo. You can't protect what you don't understand. The creature's form shifted again, and in an instant, it was right in front of him. Leo stepped back, but the darkness of the creature's presence seemed to stretch across the entire forest, closing in on him. He felt the weight of the darkness pressing against him, making it harder to breathe. You cannot win. I was born from the fears of the world, the nightmare snarled, its red eyes glowing even brighter. And I will feast on the dreams you love. Leo closed his eyes, feeling the energy of the orb in his hands. The warmth, the light, it was still there. He could feel it deep inside him, and in that moment, he realized something. The light wasn't just in the orb. It was inside him, too. He opened his eyes, filled with a new sense of determination. I may be just a dreamer, he said, his voice unwavering. But dreams are stronger than nightmares, and I will fight for them. He raised the orb high above his head, and as he did, the light exploded from it, filling the forest with a brilliant, blinding glow. The nightmare screeched in pain, its form flickering and twisting in the light. The darkness around them began to retreat, pushed back by the warmth of Leo's resolve. No, the nightmare shrieked. You cannot banish me. But Leo knew better. I won't let you take their dreams. With a burst of energy, the orb shot out a beam of pure light, hitting the nightmare directly. The creature held in agony as the light engulfed it, shattering the darkness that had clung to the forest. For a moment, everything went still. Then, like a dream fading away, the nightmare was gone. The forest was calm again, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. The light from Leo's orb softened, returning to its quiet, steady glow. Leo stood there, breathless but victorious. His heart still raced, but it was no longer from fear. It was from the incredible power of the light within him. "I did it," he whispered, his voice barely a sound. But deep within the forest, there was still a soft whisper, like a breeze passing through the trees. It was the voice of the star being. "The balance is restored for now." Leo looked up, feeling the forest's presence surrounding him, reassuring him. The dreamer had won this battle, but he knew there would be more ahead. There were always more dreams to protect. And he was ready. The forest was still, calm, as if it were taking a breath after the storm. Leo stood there, the orb in his hands now a steady, glowing presence, its light softly illuminating the path ahead. The shadows had receded, but Leo knew this wasn't over. He could feel it deep in his chest, a faint echo, like a whisper that had yet to finish. The battle with the nightmare had only been the beginning. The dream world, it seemed, was much larger than he had realized. And darker forces were out there, lurking in the corners of the forest, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "You did well, dreamer." The familiar, soothing voice of the star being filled the air, and Leo turned to see its glowing form appear before him once more. The being's eyes shimmered like the stars themselves, and its presence radiated calmness and wisdom. "But there is more to this forest than you know. There are other nightmares, other places where the balance between light and dark has been broken. It is your duty, Leo, to travel to those places and restore what has been lost." Leo nodded, his resolve firm. He had already proven to himself that he was capable of protecting the dreams of the world. The nightmare may have been defeated, but Leo understood now that he was part of something much larger, a guardian, a protector, a keeper of dreams. "Where do I go next?" he asked, his voice steady but filled with curiosity. The star being extended its hand, and a shimmering map appeared before them. It was unlike any map Leo had ever seen. Constellations formed pathways, glowing threads stretching across the world, each one representing a dream that needed protecting. "There are many realms of dreams," the star being explained. "Some are peaceful, filled with hope and light, but others are broken. Shadows have crept in, corrupting the dreams, twisting them into nightmares. You must travel to these places and heal them." Leo studied the map, tracing his fingers over the glowing lines. One path stood out more than the others. It pulsed with a faint but steady rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. "What is this place?" Leo asked, pointing to the glowing thread. The star being's expression darkened slightly, its light flickering. "That is the dream of the forgotten," it said. "It is a place lost to time. Once it was a realm of pure dreams, but it has been consumed by a great darkness. Few dare to enter, for those who do often do not return. But you have the strength to restore it." Leo swallowed hard, but the light of the orb in his hand grew brighter, as if encouraging him. The forest had already called to him once, and he had answered. It was time to do so again. "I'll go," he said, his voice firm. "I'll restore it. I'll protect the dreams." The star being smiled, a warmth spreading through the forest as if the trees themselves were rejoicing. "I knew you would. But remember, Leo, the road ahead will not be easy. You will face many challenges, many fears. Trust in your heart, trust in the light within you, and you will find your way." With those words, the star being disappeared into the forest, its form blending with the light of the trees. The map in front of Leo flickered, and the glowing thread that led to the dream of the forgotten grew brighter. Leo took a deep breath and began to walk, his steps sure. The path ahead was unknown, but one thing was certain. The journey would be long, filled with challenges, but Leo was ready. The dreams of the world needed him, and he would not fail them. As he walked deeper into the forest, the whispers began again, soft, melodic, like a lullaby drifting through the trees. The wind rustled the leaves, and Leo felt as though the forest itself was guiding him, its embrace gentle but protective. The dream of the forgotten was waiting, and Leo would not rest until it was restored. Leo's journey through the forest was long, the path before him twisting and turning like the threads of a dream. The air grew cooler as he ventured farther, and the trees seemed to close in around him, their branches reaching out like hands trying to guide him deeper into the unknown. He could hear whispers, softer now, more distant, reminders of his purpose, of the dreams he had promised to protect. As he followed the glowing thread on the map, he came to a clearing where the ground was covered in soft moss, and the trees stood taller than any he had seen before. The air here was thick with magic, and as Leo stepped forward, he felt a strange sensation, a pull, as if the forest itself was urging him onward. In the center of the clearing stood a massive stone archway, covered in ivy and glowing with the faint blue light. The archway shimmered, and Leo could feel the hum of energy that seemed to radiate from it. This was the entrance to the dream of the forgotten. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the archway, the world around him shifted. The trees, the clearing, everything faded away. Leo opened his eyes to find himself standing in a desolate land. The sky above him was a dull gray, and the ground was cracked, dry, and barren. There were no trees, no flowers, only the wind howling through the emptiness. The air was heavy, weighed down by an overwhelming sense of loss. "This is it," Leo whispered to himself. The forgotten. The dream of the forgotten was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was a place where dreams had been abandoned, a realm left to wither and fade. The once vibrant dreamscape had been overtaken by shadows, the light slowly draining from the world. But as Leo stood there, the orb in his hand began to glow brightly. The light pulsed with the rhythm of his heartbeat, a reminder of the power he carried within him. "I will restore this," Leo said, more to himself than to anyone else. "I will bring the dreams back to life." The wind howled louder, and from the shadows, a figure emerged. It was tall and dark, its form shifting and flickering like smoke. Its eyes were hollow, black pits, and its voice was like 1,000 whispers blended into one. "So, you've come," the figure said, its voice echoing around Leo. "You think you can save this place?" This world was never meant to be saved. It was forgotten for a reason. Leo stood his ground, feeling the warmth of the orb in his hands. He knew this was another nightmare, a creature born from the very darkness that had consumed the dream of the forgotten. "I don't believe that," Leo replied, his voice steady. "Dreams are meant to be remembered. They're meant to live, and I won't let you destroy them." The nightmare laughed, a sound that sent chills through Leo's spine. "You think you can defeat me? I am the embodiment of all that was lost, all that was forgotten. I am the darkness in the dreams of the world, and you are just a child who thinks he can change things." Leo clenched his fists around the orb. "I'm not just a child. I'm a dreamer, and I believe in light." With a flash of light, Leo raised the orb high above his head. The light burst from it, brighter than ever before, flooding the entire realm with its brilliance. The shadows around him recoiled, but the nightmare stood its ground, its form flickering as if it were struggling to remain intact. "You can't do this," the nightmare hissed. "This world is lost, and you can't save it." Leo took a step forward, his voice unwavering. "I won't give up. Dreams are worth fighting for." The orb pulsed with an incredible burst of light, and the nightmare screeched in agony as the light enveloped it. The darkness began to dissolve, melting away into nothingness. The sky above brightened, The cracks in the earth slowly began to heal, and the desolate land started to change. The light spread across the dream of the forgotten, and as it did, the world began to shift. Flowers bloomed where there had been none, trees sprouted from the earth, and the sky turned a brilliant shade of blue. The wind carried the soft sounds of laughter and joy, the whispers of dreams that had once been lost, now returning. Leo stood in awe, watching as the once dark world transformed before his eyes. The dream of the forgotten was no longer a place of despair. It had been reborn, full of color, life, and light. The dreams of the world had returned, and with them, a sense of hope. He could feel the dreams all around him, their warmth filling the air. It was as if they were all breathing, living, and growing once again. "You've done it," the star being's voice echoed softly, like a breeze in the trees. "The dream of the forgotten is restored. But your journey is not over." Leo turned to see the star being standing beside him, its form glowing brighter than ever. "There are still more dreams to protect, more nightmares to face. But you have proven yourself, Leo. You are a true dreamkeeper." Leo nodded, a sense of pride filling his heart. He had done it. He had saved the dream of the forgotten, and in doing so, he had proven that no dream was ever truly lost. "What happens now?" Leo asked. The star being smiled, its light radiating warmth. "Now, you continue your journey. There are many realms still in need of your help, many dreams still waiting to be restored. But know this, Leo, you're never alone. The dreams of the world are always with you." With that, the star being faded into the light, leaving Leo standing in the restored dream of the forgotten. The path ahead of him was still long, but he was no longer afraid. He knew his purpose, and he would continue to fight for the dreams of the world, no matter what. Leo's adventure as the Keeper of Dreams has come to a close for now. But his journey will live on in the dreams he has protected and the worlds he will visit.